Okay, so you're ready to really look into Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
Sounds like it.
Not just a quick airport hop, but like a real deep dive into the city.
Awesome.
We've got your notes, a stack of articles, and honestly, let's be real, sometimes it's tough to tell what's really special and what's just a tourist trap.
Oh, absolutely. You're totally right. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all that information, especially when you want more than the usual touristy stuff.
Right, exactly. And that's what we're doing here. We're going to sift through all this and help you really get Dar es Salaam.
Yeah. Like having a personal guide, but without, actually having someone following you around.
Yeah, I love that. It's like a cheat sheet to experiencing it like a local.
Exactly.
Speaking of local, I'm seeing a lot about beaches in these articles.
Of course.
I mean, who wouldn't want those turquoise waters,
Right.
But Dar es Salaam's got to be more than just beaches.
Oh, for sure. While the beaches are amazing and lots of people come for those, Dar es Salaam's really cool because it's got this mix of like city vibes with nature and this whole cultural richness. It's all right there.
That's what I noticed too. You've got this contrast between, say, Cocoa Beach,
Right.
which sounds super lively, energetic if you want to people watch.
Yeah.
And then you've got Mabuda Island, Marine Reserve, crystal clear water. It's like a different world, but just a boat right away.
It's pretty amazing how you can go from the city to that peaceful island so quickly. Mabuja is perfect for that, escape the crowds, relax, do some snorkeling, and it's protected too.
It really seems like Dar es Salaam has a lot of different sides to it. It's not just one thing. It's this whole multifaceted experience.
Absolutely.
You mentioned historical landmarks, and I've got the National Museum of Tanzania in my notes, but it's more than just old stuff, right?
Yeah. You're right. It's not just your typical museum. They actually have fossil records there. Those preserved remains of ancient organisms. So you get a peek into Tanzania's prehistoric past. Not your typical city museum find.
That's really cool. I knew Tanzania had a lot of history, but to see actual fossils right in the city, that's amazing. And then there's the Village Museum. It's not just looking at stuff behind glass. You actually experience different cultures.
Exactly. They've got these traditional huts from different groups. They show you how people lived, traditional crafts. It's like you travel back in time.
It reminds me of an open-air museum I saw in Romania. They have these old farmhouses. But what's cool about the Village Museum in Dar es Salaam is they focus on the different ethnic groups of Tanzania.
Right.
Imagine going from a Maasai hut to experiencing coastal Swahili culture all in one place. It's like a crash course in Tanzanian heritage.
And that diversity is everywhere in Dar es Salaam. You see it in the people, the architecture, the music, the food. It's a real mix of influences from Africa, the Arab world, India.
Speaking of food, my notes are full of descriptions of markets. It seems like Dar es Salaam is a food lover's paradise, and not just fancy restaurants, but authentic flavors and energy.
Absolutely. The city's cuisine is this incredible fusion of those influences, African, Arab, Indian, and you get it best in the markets.
The Kivukani fish market really caught my eye. It's more than just a place to buy fish, though, right?
Oh yeah, it's an experience. You see the fishermen, smell that mix of ocean and spices, hear all the bartering. It's like a window into the city's fishing culture, raw and real.
I can picture it now, trying to get through the crowds, maybe barter for some prawns, and eat them right there by the water. Okay, so we've got beaches, culture, food, but what about going outside the city? Dar es Salaam's a good base for seeing other parts of Tanzania, right?
It is, and 2-day trips stand out. Sadani National Park in Zanzibar, Sadani is unique because it's the only park right on the ocean.
Wow.
So you get all this wildlife with the coast as a backdrop. Imagine watching elephants with the sound of waves. It's pretty special.
Zanzibar is iconic. Almost everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
But I see more than beaches in these articles. Spice tours.
Ah, yes. Zanzibar and spices go way back. You visit these plantations, learn all about the spices, see how they're grown, even taste exotic fruits and stuff. The smells are incredible. It's amazing.
It's like experiencing Zanzibar on a whole other level. Not just looking, but the smells, the taste, the history. I love it.
It's really cool. And a nice contrast to those relaxing beaches.
So we've covered a lot. Beaches, history, culture, food, day trips. It's a lot to take in. But one name keeps popping up in these articles, flightnhotels.com.
Yeah, it seems like a popular site for planning trips to Dar es Salaam and Tanzania in general.
It's more than just booking, though, right? It's
Yeah.
about finding deals, comparing choices, finding those hidden gems.
Yeah, it seems like it's for travelers who want good value and want to make smart choices about their trip. It's about having the info you need to plan the perfect Dar es Salaam trip for you, your budget and what you like.
That fits the learner persona perfectly. They want efficiency and knowledge. They want to feel like they're getting the most out of the experience.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a theme here. Dar es Salaam seems to have all the excitement of a city and the peacefulness of nature, plus all that history and culture.
I think you've got it. It's a city of contrasts. You can find bustling markets right next to quiet beaches, ancient history, and modern art.
Mm-hmm.
It's all there, and it's got this warm, welcoming feel.
Yeah.
It's like a hidden gem waiting for people to discover it. And what's really cool is that all those different influences, they create this unique culture. You see it everywhere, the buildings, the clothes, even how people talk to each other.
That makes me think, what about the people themselves? We've talked about things to see and do, but what are the people of Dar es Salaam like?
Well, from everything we've read, they're known for being really warm and welcoming. It's a mix of so many cultures and backgrounds, but there's this sense of community. It sounds like a city where people are happy to share their culture and their stories.
Okay, so that's a big plus. I mean, it's one thing to visit a beautiful place, but to actually feel welcome, that makes a trip so much better.
Definitely. It's those real connections with people that you remember. And Dar es Salaam seems to be great for that.
You know, when I think of big African cities, I think about safety, especially if you're traveling alone. What do our sources say about safety in Dar es Salaam?
Yeah, that's a good question. And while Dar es Salaam, like any city, has its issues, it seems to be pretty safe for tourists. But of course, you should always be smart, be careful with your things, and maybe avoid walking alone in dark areas at night.
Right, just basic travel smarts.
Yeah,
But it's good to know that it's generally safe.
right.
And I guess with that strong sense of community, people are looking out for each other.
Exactly. It's like they all feel responsible for keeping everyone safe, locals and visitors. And what I read says the local government is also working on making things safer for tourists.
That's great to hear. So they're trying to make sure tourism is good for everyone, locals and visitors.
Yeah, that's important for sustainable tourism. It's about making sure everyone benefits.
Okay, so we've talked about beaches, markets, history, culture, safety. What about the overall vibe? How would you describe the energy of Dar es Salaam?
That's hard to sum up in just a few words, but I'd say it's vibrant, energetic, but also laid back. It's busy, but there's this chill feeling, especially by the coast.
I'm seeing that same mix in my notes. It's like old and new, traditional and modern, all at the same time.
Yeah, you've got these historical places right next to modern art galleries. It's like the city is embracing its past while looking towards the future.
I bet that means the art and music scene is really diverse.
Oh, definitely. There's traditional Tanzanian music, which is amazing, but then you've got influences from everywhere. Arab rhythms, Indian melodies, Western pop, it all mixes together to create something unique.
I can almost hear it now. Walking through a market, all those colors and smells, and then this amazing mix of music. It's like a sensory overload, in a good way.
That's Dar es Salaam for you. It's a city that comes alive, it pulls you in with its energy, its music, the smells, everything.
Speaking of history, we talked about the National Museum, but I'm wondering about the city's history beyond the museum. What's the story of Dar es Salaam? How did it become what it is today?
It's got a really interesting history, shaped by trade, colonialism, and then independence. It started as a small fishing village and slowly grew into a major trading port, then a colonial center, and finally, the big city it is now.
I bet you can see that history in the city's architecture. A mix of styles, maybe some old colonial buildings next to traditional African designs, and modern skyscrapers.
You're exactly right. The buildings tell the story. You'll see some Arabic influence, German colonial architecture, and then modern Kanzonian designs. It's all mixed together.
It's like a living history book. Every building tells a story.
Mm.
And I bet those stories go beyond the buildings. What about the folklore, the legends, those stories that have been passed down through generations?
That's where you find the real spirit of a place. And Dar es Salaam has so many of those stories. You just have to know where to find them and who to ask.
And I have a feeling the people there are happy to share those stories, especially if you're really interested.
I think so. They're proud of their history and want to share it with the world. And that's what makes a place like Dar es Salaam so special. It's more than just a city. It's like a living storybook.
So we've talked about the history, the energy, the culture, the beauty. What about the challenges? Every city has its problems. What's Dar es Salaam struggling with?
Well, like a lot of fast-growing cities, it's got problems with infrastructure, poverty, and inequality. Traffic can be a nightmare, especially at rush hour. And they're working on environmental issues like pollution and waste management.
Those are serious issues. But it sounds like they're trying to find solutions.
From what I've read, they're working on improving public transportation, making sure everyone has clean water and sanitation, and trying to be more sustainable. They know they need to fix these things for the city to keep growing.
It shows that progress takes time and effort, and everyone needs to work together, the government, businesses, and the people.
Exactly. It's a team effort. And it's inspiring to see them working so hard to create a better future for Dar es Salaam.
It sounds like there's hope and optimism, even with all the problems.
I think that's part of what makes Dar es Salaam so interesting. It's a city that knows it's got problems but isn't afraid to face them. It's always changing, always adapting, always trying to improve.
It's like a living, breathing thing, always in motion. But at the same time, there's this feeling of resilience, of community, of pride in who they are.
You put it perfectly. It's that mix of energy and resilience that makes Dar es Salaam such a fascinating and inspiring city.
It sounds like a place that really gets to you, a place that makes you think differently and leaves a mark on you.
I totally agree. It stays with you long after you leave. It makes you want to go back and explore more.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about Dar es Salaam, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the complex. But before we wrap up, let's think about our listener. What's the one thing you want them to remember about this city? If someone asks me, why Dar es Salaam? Why not just stick with the safari and beaches? What would be the thing that really sums up what this city's all about?
That's a good one. I think the main thing is Dar es Salaam's just different. It's hard to put it in a box, you know?
Right.
It's this mix of like a busy African city with peaceful beaches,
Yeah,
old history and modern life,
I see that.
the smells of spices and street food and the sounds, traditional music with modern stuff.
It sounds like you're saying Dar es Salaam's more than just a place to go. It's a whole experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a journey for your senses, for learning about different cultures. It changes how you see things.
And you said it's got something for everyone.
Oh, yeah, for sure. History buffs, nature lovers, foodies. Anyone who likes exploring these cities, Dar es Salaam's got it.
It's like you can't judge it just by looking at a few pictures.
Right.
You got to dig deeper to find the good stuff.
And that's what we've tried to do in this deep dive.
Yeah.
Peel back those layers and show you what Dar es Salaam is really like.
Right. We've given you the highlights, the main attractions.
But also the little things,
Yeah.
the stories, the experiences that make it special.
It's like we've given you a taste,
Exactly.
but you got to go there to get the full experience.
And make your own story in this amazing city.
That's the cool thing about travel, right? It's about discovering stuff for yourself.
Yeah.
Finding the things that you connect with.
And the memories that stick with you.
So when you're planning your trip, don't just do the usual tourist things.
Right.
Think about what you're into, what excites you.
Let Dar es Salaam surprise you.
Let it change you, inspire you.
That's what a trip to Dar es Salaam can do.
I like that.
Yeah.
So I think that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Dar es Salaam. It's been really interesting,
Yeah, it has.
and we hope we've made you curious to see this amazing city for yourself.
This is just the start. The real adventure's waiting for you in Dar es Salaam.
Enjoy the journey,